Fire in the hole!
Good kill, good kill!
You make it, we mark it. Today we have a treat for you, another design by Diceman of Texas. And I know you're going to enjoy this one. Diceman's last design, called the Trident, looked anything like a 12-gauge slug, but they sure performed very well. Incredible accuracy and power. His latest design, called Major Prick, is a streamlined beauty. It features a 1-inch spike protruding out the front and a solid brass Diablo-shaped body. This design was influenced heavily by the many comments that Diceman got on the Trident video, so he's implementing your ideas. Now this design uses a single but much larger Hilti DX stud. Now these studs are actually quite expensive. I was kind of surprised how much they were, and they are designed to be driven into steel without any kind of deformation at all. Now Diceman included some design notes, which is really helpful to get into his brain and understand what he was thinking when he designed these monsters. And he's using a single generic nail gun stud for maximum penetration, and brass body for weight to drive that stud into the various targets, knurling to minimize sabot slip, hollow body to improve center of gravity, and a space for a mystery material, vent holes to release the demons, and he also included a bunch of interesting names for this unusual projectile. Let's look at some of the specs now. Weight is 1.4 ounces, 39 grams, or a massive 600 grains. Ooh. I believe this is the longest projectile any creator has submitted to us, measuring just over 2¼ inches or 57 millimeters. And finally, this gives you an idea where the center of gravity is. This is very important for overall stabilization. This is a cutaway of what the shell looks like. The first 3 will be loaded with 28 grains of steel, the rest with 30 grains. And of course, we're using a discarding sabot. And this is what the finished shell looks like. It is so long, it would never make it through a tube magazine, and you wouldn't want to try that anyway. Let's head out and test these monsters out.
Good news for the Brian from Cincinnati's remote trigger extendo cable. That thing's like at least 10 feet long. Gonna definitely help me get some better shots, different camera angles, and all that. So we're about 19 yards from the target, and you'll notice that we got the smooth bore mounted on the Mossberg 500, Danny's old shotgun, and I think these have enough of a chance to stabilize out of a smoothbore that it's worth trying out. And if I didn't, I would definitely regret it, and I'd definitely hear in the comments too that we didn't at least try it out of a smoothbore. Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first flight ever of the Major Prick. We even had a nice little slap there from that flap to add insult to injury. You'll notice a line painted on the back of the slug, and that is now officially called the Spindicator. Thank you, Scooter Pickle, for that idea. And I was aiming at that little sticker there, and we clipped the top of it. Just a beautiful first flight. Never expected these things to be stable out of a smoothbore, to be completely honest with you. And then, of course, we've got that flap slinging up there, hit him in the face. That would actually hurt quite a bit. If you look at the real-time footage, that thing just snapped like a whip onto his face. On the first shot, we achieved 1,202 feet per second using 28 grains of steel. Let's check out the damage now.
Okay, I'm kind of amazed. And those who have been watching the channel, seeing what all these oddball projectiles, what works, what doesn't work, and we all learn from that. And one thing we've learned is very long projectiles are really difficult to stabilize even with rifling. But I just watched the footage of the of the prick flying without any spin, and it was stable. I can't believe it. That is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And it was rather accurate too. It just shot a tiny bit high. This is the aftermath here, just right above that sticker. It may have actually grazed it, and it's deep in there. And there it is. Let me zoom in on there. Come on, zoom there. There's the end of there's the Hilti DX pointed projectile there. It's absolutely unscathed and everything. Big cavity in the chest there. That would have caved in your chest. Probably unsurvivable. Just, it'd be like getting kicked by a bionic horse. I just pulled it out of the vest. Absolutely in perfect condition. It's not even this, whatever magic metal they use on that is incredibly strong. They're very almost impossible to bend. They need to make battleships out of whatever steel that is. It's amazing. All right, let's move on to the next target. I was so happy with that first shot. We're gonna try another smoothbore shot. This time at a 1-inch thick aluminum plate. See if we can get it to at least stick in there. Via! I saw a really bright flash on that one. Via! Via!
Another beautiful, very stable shot. And this time we had a little flux capacitor action going on there. Honestly, I don't know exactly where I was aiming on this shot. I think I was just aiming at the center of that big aluminum plate. Now, I think these would work pretty well at taking out a rampant diesel truck. And one thing I did not mention before is inside that cavity is a floating, what Diceman calls a flux capacitor, 27 caliber. And there might be some magnesium shavings and some other stuff in there too.
Some days are good, other days are great. This is a great day. Fantastic performance with these things. I was aiming at the center of the plate, and you're probably like, where's the slug at? Well, the brass part disappeared somewhere. I'll have to find that. But we had actuation from the flux capacitor inside the projectile. We weren't sure if that would actuate or not, and it definitely did. I can't talk too much about that, but you saw the results. Okay, so here's our Hilti DX, just the very, just the end of the threads there. The Hilti DX is over an inch long, and buried very deeply in there. Not a lot of damage from the brass part, but we almost had penetration coming out of the back. There's a little crack right there. Let me get a closer shot of that. So I'm talking about right there, little crack. 1 inch thick. That is 1 inch thick. That's amazing. We've never had anything go that deeply into that aluminum plate. Aluminum is a very tough material. Okay, the next target is 3/16 mild steel. Got this from Robert and Sons the other day. Got a bunch of various thicknesses and of some mild steel plates. Got a great deal on it. Kind of traded, gave him bottom lunch basically for all these plates. So the owner was happy, I was happy, and I'm happy to shout out Robert and Sons Machine Shop. They've been around for who knows, like 50 or 60 years. Still around, doing great work. So anyway, let's see how this does on slightly sloped armor. Via! Via!
On this one, we had no activation of the flux capacitor, but it didn't stop it. You can see the DX fastener, which is all bent up like a noodle coming out of the back. It hit the top of that table, left a pretty good mark in the table, which I didn't realize at the time, but pretty impressive shot, I must say. Now I'm using the same point of aim on every shot, and it gives you an idea that it's grouping, and these things tend to fly a little bit high.
Pretty darn impressive damage. I actually found the base of the projectile. You can see the hollow cavity inside there, and here's another piece of shrapnel from it. Even though it was sloped, we still had full penetration. The Hilti DX projectile might have just gone right through there. Actually, grazed and hit that. So, not bad. A Foster slug would never do that. You'd have a big dent, but no hole in it. And still out of a smoothbore, and it shot just a tiny bit high. Next up is a 3/8 inch mild steel plate. Again, sent to us or brought down to us by Brian from Northern California. When he came down here, he brought this plate. Great target. It's perfect size and everything. Los! Los!
Now this one, I was aiming at that little mark on the plate and pretty much landed right on top of that. Now we are using the 30 grain loads now. This one just wasn't much faster than the previous shots. Now in this shot, look at the slug. It just disintegrated in brass fragments. Rather impressive. And what's left is our Hilti DX fastener just falling to the ground right there.
Okay, there's his Trident slug. If you haven't seen that video, you need to check it out. Very impressive. Another really accurate slug. And then there's our new hole there. I believe the penetrator just got ripped right out of the brass, because the hole is about the same. Nope. There we go. So full, completely penetrate that plate, no problem. Show you the back. Next up, the lead plate. We got a little black X on there, a little plus sign that I'm aiming at. Still through the smoothbore. Amazing. Okay, let's get going here. Fear! Wow! Fear! Just lay that sucker over.
With this type of accuracy out of a smoothbore, it was really pointless to even try testing these with a rifle barrel. There'd be no gain in accuracy or velocity or anything like that. Now in this shot, we did break 1,300 feet per second, so we did get about 100 foot per second gain over the 28 grain load.
Oh my goodness. Okay, there's basically where our X was. Landed just slightly above it. I'm not complaining. There's the base of it buried deep inside there. And then the magic moment here. Full penetration. The penetrator core kept on going apparently. And we had a little flux capacitor action there. Ah! Dang it.
Next up, we have the AR-500 1/4 inch thick body armor plate. Let's see if we can penetrate that. And we certainly gave it our best shot here, hitting the plate almost directly on without any angle. The slug, again, disintegrated into just tiny pieces of shrapnel, and we did achieve a good, decent velocity of 1,288 feet per second. But as the plate turns itself around, we do not see a new hole. In fact, I think the plate is laughing at us. Dang it.
There was an existing hole. I almost went through that hole. I tried to shoot a little bit below it. You can see the splash from it. And that plate is laughing at that. So we have been able to penetrate these plates before, but what it took was like a tool steel or tungsten carbide penetrator with a flat nose. Probably what's going on with this is that pointed nose is just being crushed. It's too weak to penetrate. So you have to have something kind of blunt. Then you can actually knock a chunk of the armor out, and you're just ripping the metal instead of actually piercing it like you think in your mind. So it's like a hammer hitting it, and like breaking through some ice or something. It's just that brute force of that hard, blunt projectile. How would it do on a Kevlar ballistic military style helmet? So we got a little a mark on there, that little plus sign kind of right over his temple there. Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
This is probably one of the coolest high-speed camera shots I've ever taken, to be honest with you. Watch this. That's right, the major prick did not activate until it was inside the helmet. That's pretty cool. It stripped the DX penetrator right out of its threads, and there we can see just the base tumbling off into who knows where. Maybe I'll find that someday. And check out that strap. That thing would leave some welts if it hit you.
Okay, slightly high. Pretty consistent though, right? Went right through. I could see it flying off into the wilderness, and looks like it came out right there, just blew right through that helmet. So I don't think you'd survive that shot if you're wearing one of these helmets. Let's see how these do at long range. This is 51 yards away. 51 yards. So far it's been, I'm impressed with the accuracy. Aiming slightly, a little bit below that green top flare mouth sticker there. So let's see if that guesstimation pays off or not. I don't expect there be any drop on these. They all been shooting a little high. Fire in the hole!
Now, it's one thing to make a slug that is accurate, but also ballistically stable with spin stabilization, but to create a slug that has no spin at all and is this accurate, that takes some skill. And on top of that, a slug that is 2 1/4 inches long. I don't think anyone looking at that slug predicted these results. I'm absolutely impressed, though.
It shot a little bit high. I kind of expected that. I was aiming at the bottom edge of the green sticker. I thought if I aimed any lower, there's a chance I could actually skip it off the ground and miss the vest. The vest is only a couple inches, well, maybe like three inches underneath that sticker. So it still hit the vest, which is great. Oh, that thing is buried in his chest. So there we go. There's the point. Just balled up that Kevlar vest. Our point is right there. Pretty much exactly what it did at like 19 yards or so. Let me zoom in on that so you can see a little better. Yeah, that would the impact would cave in your chest cavity. Oh, look at that. There's a black mark around there. It released the hounds, apparently, the flux capacitor. Oh man, these are good. Oh my gosh. Diceman hit it out of the ballpark again.
And just for the heck of it, let's shoot some ballistic gel.
Here we go. Jeez. Oh boy. And here we go. Jeez.
The ballistic gel shot is pretty interesting because when it impacts the gel, it doesn't take much to cause it to begin to yaw and end up just cutting through that entire block sideways. Now, had we used a rifled barrel, it probably just would have plowed straight through without any yawing at all. And once again, we saw a delay in the activation of the flux capacitor about 3/4 of the way through the block. And just a friendly reminder, if you're enjoying this presentation and you think we deserve a thumbs up, don't hesitate. We really do appreciate it.
Okay, it entered right there. And since it wasn't spinning, it didn't take much to cause it to flip around. It's kind of, you know, and you could see how that big gash through that thing. And then it's all black in there from the flux capacitor. That was Diceman's idea, by the way, and it worked out well. And you can see how it started yawing because we did not have any spin. Gives you a little different gel reaction there. It really just turns sideways and yeah, there's the slug still in one piece. And then it looked like it bounced off the ballistic paneling there. That's what it's actually bulletproof paneling, and we put it there to kind of protect the table. And then we actually caught it in the Kevlar body armor panel there. Awesome, really good. But you know, and that block is just wrecked, all that burnt material in there. Ugh. It was like a brand new block there too, but believe it or not.
Now, if you want to support us over on Patreon, we'd really appreciate it. And you'll have a chance to win these cool limited edition stickers. Every month I pick 10 winners, so there's a very good chance of you winning. And this month we're going to have a tribute sticker here for the Rods from God. So head over to Patreon, link in the description.